detect within the team about just their ability to do that tonight consistently?
Yeah, it was pretty good. We had our moments where we weren't as sharp, but we got it on track for the most part, executed really well, got back and set against their team, which was a problem for us the last 2 times we played them. And we were able to kind of settle into the game because of that. But I thought the defense was really good, and the overall effort was really good.
And then offensively, whether in transition or really in the half court, why were you able to create as many straight line drives and good angles to the rim as you were tonight?
I thought, to be honest with you, our process tonight was similar to Christmas. I was pretty pleased with the step we took that day, and it wasn't our day as much because of the defense as because of the offense. That was where we were let down on that particular game, and I thought tonight we continued our understanding of that team. That's a really, really good team, one of the best in the NBA, and so your margin for error is thin against them. And I thought we took a little bit of a step forward offensively again tonight as we continue to prepare to play them.
It was a 4-point game with 6:39 left in the third. After you guys go up 11, they go on a little run. Then you guys end the quarter on a 22-7 run. What stood out during that stretch to close the quarter to give you guys some distance?
Yeah, you just want your bench to go in and kind of elevate the game when they get in there. And I thought tonight, Caruso, Jalen Williams, K-Rich, Mitchell, and Isaiah Joe did that. That's exactly what you want from a bench. It's if you're low on energy, they bring the energy up. If you have a lead, they extend the lead. And those guys brought major juice tonight. They won their minutes. They played their minutes really, really hard, and they gave us a huge lift.
And beyond just this game, how close do you feel like you guys are getting back to what you normally want to be at? You obviously never stay there, so it's not like a state that you ever arrive to. Every single game's an opportunity to be as consistent to your identity as you can. Even in the worst games, you have great possessions, and even in the best games, you have bad possessions. We're just trying to be as consistent as possible, possession by possession, game after game. And so there's not like a certain form that you take, over a period of time. It vacillates in and out in the season and in games, and the trick is staying there as long as possible, and getting back on track when you're not there.
You mentioned you like the shots on Christmas. You got about the same number of shots in the restricted area that you did that day as you did today.
Yep.
What do you think was the biggest difference in the makes today versus the misses on Christmas?
I thought the biggest difference between those two games was a defensive thing. I thought our disposition defensively tonight was completely different. I thought they had to earn what they got. They had to work harder for their points, and their possession started in less advantageous, rhythm situations. Our pressure got into the game way more tonight, and that impacts your offensive starting points. When you're fouling or the ball's going through the basket a lot, you're starting at a disadvantage offensively, and it's hard to get the engine going. So I thought the biggest difference between the two games was on that end of the floor.
You just talked about energy. When you have that energy really from the start, how much does that simplify what you guys are doing on both ends of the floor?
It's like a prerequisite if you want to win the game. You got to bring a certain compete level and a certain togetherness to everything. That's why we just harp on that so much. And we're fortunate you get to take that for granted with this team. They bring a compete together mindset way more days than not. And from there you can focus on executing, you can focus on fundamentals, and you can focus on your understanding of the opponent you're playing. And we were able to get to those things tonight because of the level that we competed at.
And then Kenrich's defense on Wemby, especially there in that second half, just really physical. He took a really physical approach. How much was that intentional, or was it just like an in-game adjustment that you made?
Not that I made. I think guys have individual styles of play, and he's a disruptor. Just by nature, he's an irritant. He's physical. He's not afraid to stick his nose in places, and that's how he plays. There was a game we had, Advia got it going against us in Portland the last time we played him, I think, and we started him on Advia in the fourth quarter, and he completely changed the look, and he was doing the same thing as he did tonight. So it wasn't opponent specific. That's just who he is, and when you put him in the game, he's going to be bringing that type of edge and that type of mindset, and it's very important for our team. Jay Will's like that too. Those guys are Those guys are tough.
Along those lines with Wemby, how important was it to force him to gather that entry pass as far away from the rim as possible? And just what did you see out of your guys in terms of making it difficult for him to get to the rim once he did get the pass?
Yeah, we haven't played against him very much, and so you learn. Part of learning the league is learning the really good players. He's obviously a really good player. I thought the last times we played him, we were a little jumpy against him. We were like trying to get steals in the post. We were trying to, instead of just trusting our fundamentals and trusting our team defense. And I thought tonight we did a better job of trusting our fundamentals. It's not complicated against even the best players. We played against Doncic in a playoff series, Jokic in a playoff series, Edwards in a playoff series. All those guys, it comes back to fundamentals. There's really no secret sauce. And so we just have to learn how to apply that to this team. I thought we took a step forward with that tonight.
Mark, everybody's gotten so used to Shai being cool, calm, collected all the time. Tonight we saw some outward emotion that we usually don't see out of him. Where did that come from, and did we maybe get to see Shai mad for the first time on the court in a while?
Ask him. He's coming. He'll come up here. So I'm not going to speak for Shai.
How did the outward emotions that he showed tonight, what did that do for your guys, if anything?
I just think collectively as a team, this team beat us 3 times, and part of the way you grow in the regular season is you rise to whatever challenges come your way. And a challenge that came our way is we went up against a team that beat us 3 times in a row, and they came in here tonight, ready to win again. They're, like I said, they're one of the best teams in the NBA. Every metric, the record, all that stuff would say that. And so we knew if we wanted to win the game, we had to go take it. And it's good for us in the regular season to have to overcome hurdles and have to pull together and rise to different challenges. That builds your mettle. It's how you get stronger through the season. And hopefully, if you are good enough to qualify for the playoffs, then you're bringing a level of wisdom and confidence to those games when you need that stuff the most.
In pregame, you talked about there's been an uptick in teams trying to play faster against you guys this year. How do you sort of get back on defense as the priority, but also slow down their offense in transition?
Starts with your offense, taking rhythmic, predictable shots, getting on the offensive glass if you can. I thought we had some key ones early in the first half tonight when the shots weren't falling. We didn't do great for the game, but and then getting back and setting your defense with great, precision and focus. And I thought, that was one of the reasons why we won the finals. That team was about as fast as anybody and as efficient as anybody. And we, in the games we won against them, we were able to settle them into a half-court game. But it requires everything, effort, focus, execution. And I thought we did a good job of that tonight. We had them playing, against our half-court defense.
Mark, from an outside perspective, it looked like you were more aggressive offensively, driving even with Victor in the paint. Was that true? And was that a focus that you can't play scared even if he's out there?
Yeah, I thought we were like that on Christmas, like I said. And I think a lot of that comes from what happens prior to the drive. It comes down to how you space the floor, how your initial attacks are. If you're spacing sloppy or your initial attacks are sloppy, then it's not going to have the optics of that. And I thought tonight we got our things in order early in possessions in terms of how we spaced. We had great discipline there. Our initial attacks were really good. And then, I think the aggression that you see or the cracks that you see us get, run downstream for that. But I thought, like I said, in the Christmas game, I thought we took a step there too.
Yeah, Mark, Chet 1 of 4, but seemed like he had a really good game. Just talk about the performance he gave you guys and how important it was.
Yeah, his best fundamental is winning. That guy, so he's a winning player. He does all the invisible stuff. He has unbelievable downstream effects on our offense and our defense when he's on the court. And tonight was a great example of that. He obviously didn't get a lot of shot attempts. He didn't have a loud box score game, and yet he was in the middle of everything. I thought his work at the rim, especially in the second half, was really good defensively. And his, back to the question on the attacks that Barry asked, his spacing really helps us. His ability to space the floor. And he may not get the touch or the shot on every possession, but somebody else is getting some quality because of where he is and the fact that he's out there.
J. Will is a plus 30 in this one, high impact on both ends of the court. You didn't have him in the last 2 matchups. Just thoughts on just his impact on this particular game.
He was great. Similar to Chet. Spaces, knows where to be, connects sides of the floor on offense, defensive rebounds, competes around the basket physically. Huge part of our team, obviously. We want to have everybody available, and he does bring a different dynamic to us when he's out there. So it's been great to have him back. He brings a different jolt to our team when he's on the court, and I thought that was evident tonight.
Anyone else? Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks.